Welcome to Ori and the Will of the Wisps, One Weapon, where anything I hold that can damage enemies counts as a weapon. Oh boy, did I make it harder. So, this game starts with a sort of tutorial mixed with a cutscene. You get introduced to the mechanics and Ori's family, and the animation is beautiful. It's all wholesome and it's sweet and... yeah, obviously I'm gonna skip it. Oh, but on the topic of skipping, since the beginning starts me off with a torch, I'll also be skipping it. And after that fight, I finally get the weapon I'll be using for the rest of this challenge. And I also get directions, which allows for plot. But this isn't the first Ori game. No, this is a platform combat game, not just like a 99% platformer. I mean, it's still a platformer. A platformer that's just so easy. Bad example. See, it's really easy. Look, this game is hard, okay? Anyway, as I was trying to transition to, this whole intro section is going to take a while. And, you know, I haven't done a montage in a while. And we're back. Okay, so here's where the rules of this challenge get a bit iffy. So the bow qualifies as a weapon. The problem is I can't progress without the bow. Trust me, I tried. And I googled a lot of stuff. So my compromise is that I need to try and use it as little as possible, and I can't use it in combat at all. But, like, obviously some things will still need it. Only really in this first area, though. Like, seriously, did something happen while they were making these puzzles?
Hey, person, have you finished completing all those bow puzzles yet?
Oh, yeah, I've got all the ones in the start done. Where else did you want them?
Oh, heh, nice. You're fired.
Oh, I also beat a combat shrine, meaning I can have one more shard in my collection. Shards are basically just character upgrades. I can buy some, or I can find them. Although, not to break the fourth wall or anything, I didn't really use them that much in this challenge. I also got the best ability in the game, Dash. It's a lifesaver, literally. Anyway, after a brief boss fight, well, maybe not so brief. Now, it's really too early for them to expect me to have more weapons than I already do, so I won't really feel the effects of this challenge in boss fights until later. But you should know that I've also just gotten the best ability in the game. And one cutscene later, I can finally start making progress. Oh yeah, I should have mentioned, we haven't even started the main plot yet. Also, to make it clear, using Bash to send enemy attacks back doesn't count as a weapon since they aren't my attacks. Anyway, I basically just have to run around and break whatever these things are. And there are a lot of these things. Worst of all, this place is built like a maze. Where am I going? I don't know. Eventually, though, I stumble upon another ability, which this whole place is designed around, so as you might imagine, that allows me to actually do stuff, like a mini-boss fight, which I thought would be easy until... Oops. Well, even though I'm on hard, enemies aren't that hard yet. And if I use Bash and time it right, I can launch myself into the air and avoid literally any attack. I also forgot to mention one of the shards I have is thorns, meaning I can technically damage the enemies without attacking. Well, as long as I keep getting hit. And then, by actually doing stuff, I get the first chase scene of the game. Again, the whole one weapon thing isn't really too much of a problem yet, because this isn't even a battle. But that doesn't mean I didn't die. Like, a lot. Hey, I'm still getting used to the mechanics. You can't blame me, it's only been like, over an hour. Wow, look at that, I'm in the next area. How did this happen? Wow, such a heartfelt reunion. Anyway, that leads to a sort of windy, blowy section, which are actually both real words. Also, I had to use the bow again. And now I'm very upset by that. Oh no, they're dead. But hey, now I have the best ability in the game. Deja vu. I also unlocked a quest that gives me another ability. Oh, but it's time for the next area, and the main mechanics of this place are using the feather and bash, meaning there isn't much combat here. Definitely a lot of running in circles because I forgot where I'm going. I even went out of my way to get an ability that you're supposed to get at the end of the game because I thought I needed it. It went well-ish, but I don't even need it. I mean, it's a nice ability, but not necessary. But on top of that, I also get another ability. This one is another sort of iffy ability when it comes to the challenge, as it's something I wield, and it can damage enemies. So it's a weapon. But once again, it's vital to progression, so the same rules as the bow applies. Also, once I get the map, I do a little more platforming, and another sort of mini-boss, which is only slightly harder this time. Then I finally find my way to the second chase scene, which I obviously didn't complete on the first try, but I'd like to believe I did better than last time. Emphasis on the like part. Now I'm finally getting to areas where only having one weapon is a problem. Like, a bow or something would be so useful. I can't believe the game never gave me one. But it's time for another new mechanic. Darkness. It unalives you very easily, but it also makes this place a little easier to navigate. If you're lost, just look for the light. And I tell ya, who actually needs a bow when you have the bash ability? I'm so glad it doesn't count as a weapon. Wait, I made the challenge, so of course it doesn't count. Oh, but it's time to die a bunch more because it feels like that's the only thing I'm good at. Like, am I even good at video games? Oh wait, what was I saying? Oh right, I got a new ability. Now, while this one technically doesn't count as a weapon, it does still damage enemies if they are in my light, so I should only use it when necessary. Speaking of necessary, it's time for another boss fight. Okay, that didn't... okay, yeah. Okay, no. Okay, yeah, I'm not dealing with this right now. Luckily, there's another place I can head to instead, which once again means new mechanics. And in this case, a lot of water. It's a good thing I got water breathing a while ago. It also introduces bubbles, which aren't the easiest thing to use, but once you do, you can get some really good height, which is pretty much just used to navigate this place. I also use bash a lot to break stuff here. Wait, what? Why are you asking me what this has to do with the challenge? Well, I mean, right now, there's another one of those fighting sort of mini-bosses, but it isn't too terrible because they can't even hit me from here. So, as of right now, this is how it relates to the challenge at hand. As for the rest of the stuff, well, don't you want to know every single unnecessary detail about how I got from point A to point B? Well, except this ability I got. It's kind of important. I mean, it doesn't count as a weapon, but again, similarly to the ability I got in the dark, I should only use it to attack when necessary. Anyway, the point B I was referring to is this chase/boss fight at the end. And luckily for you, I'm an editor. Which also means I can skip to the part where I decide I need more life before I can do this fight. Look, I'm only showing a handful of these failures. Trust me, there were many more. Hopefully, just by beating this combat shrine and getting another shard slot, I'll be able to go back and take this boss on. Alright, I'm clearly not ready to take this boss on. Let's try the spider again. So, the first wave is pretty simple. Just try not to get hit, heal when you do, and take any opportunity to fight back. I mean, I'm lucky this weapon has such a long range, but I really want to use the bow. Oh, also avoid the giant death laser. That's a good idea too. The second wave is another chase sequence. It's pretty easy when you do it right. Nice. Okay, so I might have died a bit, but eventually by using the same tactics as before, arguably better than before because now I'm in the dark, so it's harder. But I guess you guys can be the judge of that. Also, one thing I should mention about being in the dark is the ability that lights stuff up uses energy. So on top of everything else like having one weapon, I have to manage my energy. Despite this, I managed to land a few good hits and finally beat the first official boss of this challenge. Ignore that one earlier. So, for the next fight, I need life cells. Luckily, I can buy a map that shows me the location of all of them. Wow, who knew having a map that tells me exactly where these life cells are would make finding them super easy? Unfortunately, even with my new health, I still died a few times. It doesn't help that this battle doesn't have any checkpoints like the other one. And once the area is flooded, I can't even use my healing ability anymore. Meaning, when it does get flooded, the only actual way of regaining my health is by hitting these hand thingies and hoping that they drop life stuff. But it's going to take a while before I can get good at doing that, and there's more to it. Like avoiding whatever this attack is called, which I think I finally found a strategy for. It's easier to show than explain. Also, using bash and spending probably over an hour on this was very helpful. I mean, in the end, it works. Oh no, he's also dead. Now, because I already did this part when I went to get the ability from here for the snow section, I can just enter inside. Inside is also pretty much just story, until this thing shows up. And while I did die a fair amount of times, I'd say this is both the shortest and easiest of all the chase sequences in the game. It's not over till it's over though. I still have to make it to the willow tree, which means one more ability, and it's very useful, but I wouldn't say it's the best one. I will be using it for the rest of the challenge though. Anyway, there's still an entire area to explore, and I have to attack these things just like I did way back at the not quite start. But honestly, while it's a fun place to navigate because of the bash mechanic and the new ability I got, there isn't much of interest here. Besides, I bet you guys are getting pretty tired of watching me running around with no real direction. What? I get lost easily. Well, there is one interesting thing here. Okay, this fight is pretty simple. Avoid the lasers and use bash, rinse and repeat, and rinse again, and repeat again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and then you're done. Wow! Oh no, a final boss fight. And I do mean oh no. This first wave will hopefully be the hardest because there is no easy way of attack, at least not with the weapon I have. Now, there is an attack I can use bash on, so that paired with figuring out how to time my attacks should hopefully make this battle possible without having to upgrade my health again. Also, speaking of health, healing is another important aspect of this fight, but I have to be careful when using it. After a while of this though, I finish the first wave and have to do a chase sequence. Of course it's a chase sequence. This is also what I meant by that new ability being important. Anyway, wave 2 is very similar to the first wave, strategy-wise, except the attack that I can use bash on now comes from the side, and there's a more annoying laser attack, and whatever this would be called. But other than that, it's exactly the same. Totally. Which is why it should come as no surprise that I am also able to complete this section with surprisingly little deaths. And now, it's the final section, which is the easiest when it comes to doing this challenge. This is because I'm in the air and mainly using bash, so having one weapon isn't much of a problem. The main issue is timing. Eventually, after many more deaths like this, I finally do figure out the timing, which lets me survive long enough to finish this battle, and even better, finish this challenge. Oh my gosh, that took forever. Anyway, I'm not going to show you all the endgame stuff, but I will show you this part, because I can't be the only one to cry at the end of a game. Someone else has to. Like, come on, this bird thing is going to, permanent sleep in the arms of their nothing but stone and dust parents. What a high note to end this challenge on. Wait, last time I did this, I finished by showing my death count. So, here it is. Hey look, I did a lot better than last time.